so great to have Christabel. She's made an enormous effort to be here, getting up at 5 a.m. this morning, flying in from a retreat in Spain or Portugal, and then now she's here just in time, which is great. So I first met Christabel at your first event of Advaya, which is this, I mean, Rupert talks about mind networking, but I mean, Advaya is this extraordinary platform for all sorts of change that is required, and the people that can talk and speak to that change that's required in lots and lots of different parts of how we engage with the environment, how we engage with ourselves, how we engage with others, and I'm sure you can do a better job than me, but yeah, I suppose we're going to call it out now. We're all there's a certain demographic here, and pilgrimage also speaks to the young really strongly too. But it's just about how are we going to find that message, and because you are around all the people all the time who are sort of your social media is very successful. You have people want to listen to what your platform is saying, and so I thought you're the best person to ask me because you've got this broad overview of it all. And I don't know what the first question is. Do you want to just start with something that?
Yeah. Jotted some notes down. Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Guy. So we started Advaya 7 years ago in 2015. I think my sister Ruby, who I run it with, we felt a real lack of collective spaces where we could come together with people to understand about the climate crisis, the ecological crisis, but also the mental health crisis as well, and the interconnections between them. And growing up with relative privilege, I was surprised that my friends and I were suffering with mental health and seeking connection in the wrong places, and as that was happening and the realizations around mental illness was occurring, I was also starting to understand about how our treatment of the environment was a massive social justice and human rights crisis as well. And so anyway, we set out to do one event greatly inspired by a pilgrim I spent the week with in Spain, Satish Kumar, and his book, Autobiography of an Earth Pilgrim, really, for me personally, was what ignited Advaya. And he says the health of the planet and health of the people are two sides of the same coin. And
yeah, do you want to come here? Come here. I was thinking because there's more in the
usually
middle.
very loud.
Can everyone hear over there?
Yeah, be loud.
Sorry.
Could
Yes.
you repeat the name of the platform, please?
Advaya.
Advaya.
Advaya. ADVAYA. It's not very branding. No, we can understand what it means. It means non-dualism, from Advaita Vedanta. So reading Satish's book, is that volume okay? Yeah?
Yeah.
Reading Satish's book really inspired the creation of Advaya. And Advaya in many ways has been a bit of a pilgrimage. We've done 400 events since 2015. And we've now put a lot online, and we're doing these kind of online courses, taking people on journeys through collective inquiry. And we didn't set out thinking that we'd start doing pilgrimages, but we invited Rupert to come and speak to at one of our first events, and he suggested that we also invite the British Pilgrimage Trust, so we did. And Guy and Will really captivated our audience and spoke about pilgrimage in a way that felt really fun and light and lifted. And so we decided to collaborate with Guy and Will and start doing some Advaya British Pilgrimage Trust retreats. And they were really popular, and we had lots of people coming in their 20s on these retreats. And it was always my mission to get one of my friends who would otherwise kind of wrinkle their nose at the idea of a pilgrimage to come with me, to drag them along. And it was always really wonderful to see kind of the transformative experiences that they had. So I think a question I was thinking, why is pilgrimage so important? And I think for me personally, and perhaps why it could be more accessible to young people, is to frame it more from the perspective of connection. And actually, when I was driving here, a taxi driver, he was asked what I was doing, and I said I was going to go give a talk on pilgrimage and youth, which was kind of funny because I didn't think I'd ever do that. anyway, then his first question was, "Oh, are you religious?" And I said, "No." And then he was explaining that as a Muslim, it's in tradition for everyone to do a pilgrimage once, and that he said that what was amazing was seeing how the people who went on the pilgrimages came back with such a stronger faith. So that was really inspiring to kind of get his perspective on it. And I think the point around connection is really important. I believe that and lots of people say this, but separation is at the root of these different crises that we're facing, kind of what connects it all together. Separation from myself and my true deep nature, from community, from others, from the ecosystems of which I'm a part, and then from the spirit as well, or God, or however you see it or feel it. And so I see pilgrimage as being this kind of means to reconnecting and overcoming these 4 dimensions of separation. And it's not that separation is a bad thing, it's a great thing. Separation gives us the spaciousness to take a pilgrimage to connection, so long as we remember that we are always already connected. And then it's that the separation creates this interbeing, this interrelationship, which I think makes life meaningful. So when walking and when on these pilgrimages, I love how it helps bond personally with myself. There's always a bit of a challenge, or you might have some fears, and there's a space for reflection and silence and connection. And then there's a relationship with others. I love we to be predominantly a group of strangers walking, and by the time that we finished the pilgrimage, it was a really beautiful bond, even if it just been for 2 days. And I think people feel quite shy and we're quite isolated, and something about walking and talking where you go so much deeper because you don't have to look at people in the eyes, and it's fine when it's silent because you can hear the birds and whatever. And so that was really beautiful. And then of course from connecting with nature, and at that time I would think that if I wanted to have a spiritual journey, I needed to go to India or to Bali, and going on these pilgrimages reminded me that the land is spiritual everywhere you go, if you go with that intention, and if you're able, Guy and Will would do amazing kind of explanations of different things and really guide us. And then of course your deeper connection more spiritually, whether that is with God or with that which connects us all together. And we would set an intention at the beginning of the pilgrimage, and there's just something beautiful about walking with presence, and then going on your own individual journeys, but doing that in community. So I've never done a pilgrimage by myself, but I really like doing them with people.
Yeah. Do you think that's the thing, like the social side of it?
I think so.
And like how is that? You sort of said you're not looking at each other's eyes. I mean, that's like, how's it better than just going to a party or something?
Not better.
Yeah.
But also really nice. It's just different. It's a pilgrimage.
Yeah, I know. but there is a difference, but I think it works well with like close friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like maybe them, like who want to get to know each other better. Maybe I did a pilgrimage last weekend with a group of some friends who'd known each other from school, and you could tell like they love the sort of the pub side of it, and the I don't like, what should we be saying to younger people to make them think, oh yeah, actually that's not so weird, or it's actually a good thing.
Well, when we were doing them, I think like some people were coming because they were friends with me or friends with Ruby, and we kind of talked them into it. And so I think some people need that social link in order to feel like they could or should go on a pilgrimage. And the question that you posed was, how do you make pilgrimage more attractive? But I would say it was about making it more relatable and more accessible. I think one major thing is about, or not exactly what you're doing, is about enabling people to organise themselves, or if you care about pilgrimage, to be the catalyst to get a group together, and then get that group to invite one person who wouldn't otherwise be going on a pilgrimage. Another really major thing is the religious connotations around pilgrimage, I think, make some people feel as though it's not something that they could do, or that they would want to do. And my favourite memory of one of the pilgrimages we did was on the first day. I actually can't remember where we were, but we went into a town and we went to a church, and it was really interesting seeing kind of at least a third or a half of the group loitering around the door, not really wanting to go inside the church, and just feeling really stiff. And then he sung, and I could see everyone like relaxing into it, but still not really sure of what they were meant to do in there. And then the following day, because they went in, and like you could see people really like taking up the space in the church and looking, and they might kneel or close their eyes or do some meditation. And that to me was one of the most powerful and beautiful parts of the pilgrimages, was seeing people's relationship with churches changing, because we were in there confidently, not feeling like we were not really meant to be in there, or that we had to believe something in order to do that. So I thought that was really powerful. And the man who was speaking when I arrived was talking about maybe turning churches into gyms. And I mean, as a small example, he's talked a lot about stuff. But I would say that to re-enliven the spaces of churches, rather than something like a gym, would be to maybe get people really confident about being in them and seeing them as a place of prayer or meditation or community building and service to your community. And I think that feels like a really beautiful way to ignite churches and to bring people in, which is still very much in alignment with the reasons why they were created in the first place. So I get a bit sad when I hear kind of this thing about like secular, as though it's like, it feels very binary, because every action we take can be a spiritual action, you know, if it's for the greater good kind of thing. My last point, I think, is to make pilgrimages more accessible, is we were basing them, well, you really did it all, I designed it all, but it was around nature and all the elements. And so we did water pilgrimages, and you still go to the churches and you're still walking through these ancient pathways, but you're doing so for deepening your connection with nature. And I think that is a really, really powerful tool to be able to make pilgrimages more accessible. You know, they are in every religion, pilgrimages, and so they should also be seen as being for ecological reasons as well. And I think with Advaya, we're very passionate about kind of activism, but linking well-being and activism together. And I see pilgrimages as this fertile ground for us to practice what it means to take action in the world, action that doesn't burn you out, action which is clear in your intention, you know the direction, you know how you have to get there, but it's just about placing one foot in front of the other, being aware, being conscious, letting go of expectations, letting go of your attachment to what it's meant to be, letting go of the pain or suffering that you might be having in the process. And I think that's another really important lesson that I learned from pilgrimage, and why I think that we need more young people going out on these journeys and getting more young people who otherwise mainly in urban spaces, feeling as though these pilgrimages and these routes were made for them as well.
Wonderful. Thanks so much.
That's really good.